Let's turn our attention to Nebraska. Again, arguably the story of the day is the quarterback Dylan Raiola, top 10 overall recruit, flipped from Georgia to Nebraska. Something to keep in mind here, Nebraska has the top player from 4 different states. Georgia, Nebraska, Iowa, and Hawaii. The best player from those 4 states heading to Lincoln. So here is Nebraska's head coach Matt Rule bringing in the big fish this year. Matt, what does it mean to your program and the future of your program to be bringing in a kid like Dylan Raiola?
Well, I think anytime that you feel good about the guy you bring in at quarterback, it's special. Obviously for us, even this year, we know we're going to play great defense. So to have a guy behind center that we believe in, that we know can win championship games, I think it means a lot. And probably on a more macro level, like to have one of the best players in the country choose Nebraska, maybe signals to people that, hey, there's something special happening here. He's one of 6 sons of former players that are joining our team, and I think that really speaks to what we're trying to do, the place that we're trying to build, and the future that we want to have.
You use the word special to describe him. What about his game, the way he plays, is special?
I had a chance to go see Dylan in the spring when they were practicing and watched him throw. And I've been at a lot of the pro days over the last couple of years. And I think just in terms of throwing the ball, in terms of his mechanics, in terms of his arm talent, it's as good as anybody I've seen, even getting ready for the draft. You add in the fact that, he's driven to be great. He's a big, powerful man that can stand strong in the pocket. And then when you watch the tape, besides the big arm and the big throws, you see a guy that can move in the pocket, can make plays with touch, and that's a special combination. And when I saw it live, I knew it could be something really, really great for us. Didn't work out initially. Happy to obviously that it worked out today.
Well, that's the thing. He was at first committed to a team that's in the playoff every year. Then he was committed to the reigning national champions, and now he's committed to you guys. So this has been a bit of a process. When during this process did it kind of flip where you were like, I think we really got him?
Last week, yeah, it was late. The way I look at it was always, this is where he was always meant to be. I think this is where his heart always was. Obviously, a lot of things have been happening in the program, and I hope and believe that as he went through this year, saw the progress that we made, saw the way that we handled the highs and lows as a team, his heart just grew more and more set on coming to Nebraska. And in the end, he made that call. We're excited that he's here. We're excited all the other young men are here, and believe that it'll lead to great things for us in the future.
Well, a pass catcher of his in the near future is tight end Carter Nelson, top kid in the state. What do you like about him?
For us on offense, he can play a multitude of positions. He can be a running back. He can be a wide receiver. He can be a tight end. He's sort of a positionless player, special athlete that you don't see very often, an even better person. And so, he's someone that we believe can be a chess piece that we move all around the field and watch him make plays.
Well, let me ask about some other pass catchers that are in-state guys, Isaiah McMorris and Davon Hall. What stands out with them?
Well, two local players from Omaha, Bellevue West, along with our other quarterback Daniel Kalen, who's an Elite 11 excellent player, and Isaiah can to me be a dominant player in the slot and outside. Ran a great 100-meter time last year, so he matches quickness with pure speed. And Davon is a big, powerful guy that we think can win outside, win versus one-on-one. So anytime that we can find great players in our backyard and get them to come, anytime that we can sign 8 players from the home state of Nebraska, I think that bodes well for us moving forward.
Well, that's the thing. 8 kids from the state of Nebraska, historically speaking, that's a lot. What are the reasons behind that?
Well, we did it last year. It's one of the things that I looked into before I took this job. I think when you look across the state, when you look at football throughout the state, I think there's a lot of prospects. There's other guys committed to other Big Ten teams. There's guys committed to Notre Dame. So it's not like we got all of them. And so there's 10, 11, 12 players headed towards Division I. And I think it's going to be that way every year. When I look at the younger classes, Nebraska football is on the up and up. You go to a clinic, the coaches are locked in. They're there. They care about the players. And so to me, it's a great time to be at Nebraska because Nebraska high school football is so strong.
You were so successful at your 2 previous stops as a head coach in college. You're now a full year into being the head coach at Nebraska. Have you adjusted anything about the way you recruit or what you look for in a recruit?
Yeah, I think after being in the NFL and sitting in those draft meetings and seeing the guys that are successful and having a chance to coach some of the best players in the country. I mean, I've had a chance to coach Stephon Gilmore. I've had a chance to coach Christian McCaffrey, Brian Burns. I think it just kind of changes your brain about who you're looking for. Guys that are having frivolous conversations about things that don't matter, they're probably not a great fit for us. We're looking for guys that want to be pros. We're looking for guys that want to be NFL players. We're looking for guys that want to get a degree. We're looking for serious guys and serious families. And so, when I was in college before, and you're like, hey, I really need to get this guy, and you kind of put up with some things along the way, like when you coached the defensive player of the year, and he's one of the most humble, best teammates you've ever been around in Stephon Gilmore. You expect that from the guys that you recruit. And so on the flip side, I think that we can offer so much more to our players now. We know so much about what it takes, not just to get to the NFL, because any school can get you to the NFL, but who can make sure that when you get there, you're there to stay and you're there to excel. And so I think our staff offers that. That's why so many of our guys this year that had an extra year came back and are coming back next year to Nebraska, because they know that we can help them. And I look forward to working with these guys that we signed for the next 4 to 5 years and helping them achieve all their dreams on and off the field.
How many hours until vacation, Matt?
Maybe about 2.5, 3. Yeah, my wife and kids are calling, buddy. I can't wait.
Congratulations on the great class this year. Have a great holiday, man.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
I mentioned 8 kids from in-state, including all 4 of the top 4 players in Nebraska are going to be Huskers. But not surprising, they do go all over. 5 from Texas, 5 from Florida, and then 9 other states besides that. You get such a great recruit in the quarterback, Dylan Raiola, and we're going to talk about him in a second. But then the next steps are get guys to catch the ball and get guys to block for him, and they did a good job of getting that out of the way.
They got a good one in Grant Bricks, who comes from the state of Iowa. So you go into Iowa, you beat Iowa and Iowa State for an offensive lineman. That's not easy to do. He was also recruited by Kansas State. Oklahoma did a really good job with him. There were some other schools out of region like Miami who came up and recruited him. He's an All-American, 6'5", about maybe almost 6'6", 270 pounds, lean, can still add a lot of weight. You see how well he fires off the football. I think he's a future tackle, but he's a guy who can move around the line a little bit, and certainly will be a welcome sight for Mr. Raiola and the other skill players. Caleb Benning is from Omaha and was really, you talked to people around that state this year, one of the best players in the state of Nebraska. A track guy who's played all over the field, can play a bunch of different positions, going to start off as a safety, but a really, really good pickup. And that really became obvious during this year. Turned in an outstanding senior season. I think you want to pick up guys on that trajectory. Speaking of guys from the state of Nebraska, let's show some love to the other quarterback in this class, because Raiola gets a lot of headlines. Daniel Kaelin's been committed to Nebraska. He's from the state of Nebraska, won a bunch of games there. Extremely smart, accurate player, threw for 6,000 yards in his high school career. So they were going to be very satisfied with Daniel Kaelin as the quarterback in this class. So want to make that clear. They have 2 quarterbacks in this class. Daniel Kaelin, very talented.
And Davon Hall from up the street at Bellevue is a guy that they need to have in this program, because as Coach talked about during his interview with Mike, they weren't going after these players in previous years. And this is a guy that I think can come in and help them immediately. He's long at 6'1", 180, big physical guy. So he'll be able to have some opportunities early to be able to make plays for this program. I love the way he catches the ball and attacks it with his hands.
On the defensive side of the ball, they got edge rusher Willis McGahee IV. And if you're wondering, where do I know that name from? Yes, you are correct. He's the son of NFL's Willis McGahee III. As a pass rusher, he does a great job with his hands and has a mixed bag of moves. I think sometimes with high school edge rushers, they just dominate by sheer power. But he's been able to develop a push-pull, a swim, bowl, speed, so he's already polished as a rusher and will be a nice piece of the defense. So here's the guy, Dylan Raiola. He is a high-level prospect day one. Elite in a number of categories. Elite arm strength, including on the move and outside the pocket. Mature footwork. Clearly been trained well. He's got urgent feet, but not rushed. An accurate deep ball that bodes well because he reads the safeties well as well. He's a pocket passer label, but I think he actually moves well and can do some things with his feet. I think the number one thing for me, and as it applies to where Nebraska's at as a team, what has cost them? Turnovers. You look at his career turnover, touchdown to interception, 88-11 touchdown to interception ratio over his career, 34-1 in 2023. So he prioritizes taking care of the football, which is important for Matt Rule and the Huskers.
It's a great ratio, 34-1 touchdowns to picks. You saw the graphic there too. I mean, think of it, he's a higher ranked recruit than Ndamukong Suh. Like, he is a huge deal for this program. And I mean, is it too soon to say, Jake, he's got a legit shot at starting this upcoming fall?
No, I think he's an early enrollee, right? His uncle's on the staff, so maybe over the holidays and Thanksgiving, he said, here's the playbook, Dylan, get a little jump on it. But when you watch his tape, like, clearly he's been trained well. He has been trained to play the quarterback position. All of the details that comes into being a successful quarterback, he's familiar with at least. It's obviously a big jump in competition, but he's going to compete for that and maybe is the favorite day one.
I think one of the things that's important was the way Coach Rule handled the quarterback situation last year. Even though there were a lot of turnovers, he stood behind his guy until he had to make the decision. So when you have a young quarterback come in, and yes, you talked about all the things that his intangibles, his footwork, the things that he's able to do, he also knows if he's fortunate enough to win this job, it's not going to be one of those situations where he's yanked immediately. That's something he had an opportunity to see from afar and can trust the coaches that what they're saying, they truly believe because they preached that the previous year.
One thing, too, the number one quarterback spot in the country in a recruiting class gets scrutinized a lot. There's a lot of pressure that comes with it. They're number one for a long time. They go to these events like the Elite 11. Every ball they throw, everybody's trying to look and see, is this guy really number one? And he held on to that through the entire offseason, through his entire senior year. And usually that bodes well if a guy can do that. And when you look at some of the past number ones like Trevor Lawrence, Quinn Ewers, Bryce Young, usually they've come through the fire and they come out of the other side ready to go.
You guys mentioned some of the talent they're surrounding with him in this class. There's talent on the roster. They returned a majority of their offensive line. They had Jalen Lloyd, Malachi Coleman, Thomas Fidone was an excellent recruit. So there's already talent on the roster. This, if he can develop into what we think he can, it's a huge, huge get for Nebraska.
And if you're a Husker fan, right, for so many different administrations, you've been waiting to turn the corner. And now you put your faith in Matt Rule and you think, well, first year, what can he do on the football field? Well, he's proven he can get a pretty good defense on the football field. The next step is offense. You need a quarterback. It feels like one by one dominoes are going down in the favor of Nebraska coming back to national relevance.